Hi, Charles Cherney. I wanted to touch on 5 things a seller should consider as they set out to sell for the best price. Number 1, choosing your listing agent. This probably is the most important decision on your journey to a successful sale outcome as you aim to sell for the best price. Look for an agent who's experienced, informed, and engaged, who understands the market your house is in and can give you guidance from beginning to end on the journey to closing so that you achieve the desired outcome. I cannot stress enough how important your selection of your listing agent is on this journey. An experienced guide who's a good problem solver, who's communicative, who understands the market, who can help you with the decisions you need to make from beginning to end and keep you on track to achieve the sale event you desire. So selecting your listing agent is an essential first step, as the additional steps I'm about to review involve your listing agent so that you can get these additional items right. Number 2 is home preparation for sale. So whether it's an investment property or a home you own or occupy, you do want to give thought to what steps you're going to take before the house is listed for sale. So at a minimum, this is probably going to include some touch-up painting and house cleaning, and it may well involve staging. And then look, no 2 properties are the same. So there may be some landscape work that needs to be done or some home improvements that need to be made. Like, for example, you may be completing a finished room on the lower level, replacing light fixtures, any of a number of additional steps or measures or items that are going to serve you with the sale of the house. And again, your agent can be your guide in making these decisions and helping you find the necessary professionals to execute on a timeline to be ready to come on the open market. So home preparation is an essential next step after choosing your agent. You want to get ready to put your best foot forward by doing the things the property needs to have done to it to help you succeed. Now, look, every seller is on a different timeline with a different budget, and there are certain things that have to be weighed in the balance, but you do want to sit down with your agent and formulate a home preparation plan to get things done that can and will be done that serve you to list and to show to best advantage. Number 3 on the list is collaborative pricing with your agent. It's understood every seller has an aspirational price, and it's understood that a good listing agent will sit with a seller to discuss the relevant comparables and the subject property to help them dial in with clear focus on the range of market value. No one can say with certain what a property will sell for. Ultimately, the market is going to make that decision. However, you are best served by listing for sale for a market price that is reasonable in the market you find yourself in, based on comparable sale events that inform an understanding of value, and based on market conditions at the time you list for sale. So the collaborative pricing piece is crucial, right? You don't want to shoot yourself in the foot by pricing sky high and generating no interest. At the same time, you don't want to leave money on the table by pricing too low, not generating multiple offers, and then sitting on one offer for less than you as a seller desire. So look, it's collaborative. It's art and science, but a good agent, your listing agent, is going to give guidance here on this topic as you as a seller land on a list price for your property. Number 3 on the list is timing. Look, there are different times of year where properties are more likely to generate interest, eyeballs, and sell for a premium. In the Cambridge and Somerville market, of course, the spring market is king, followed by the fall market, followed by the summer market, and, in last place is the winter market, from say mid-November to mid-January. It's not to say a property can't sell in the winter. It's just that in a perfect world, if you can choose a different time of year to launch to list, it's more likely you're going to achieve success. You do need to factor in your own timeline, when you need to be out by and where you're going and when you need the funds from the sale. So look, sometimes there will be properties listed in the winter, and it's not as if it's the end of the world. It's just that if you have a choice, likely you would choose the spring or the fall or the summer. And again, it may also be that timing is about what's going on in the world. If we've had a major snowstorm, you probably would be best served delaying a week. If there's been a black swan event in the world economy, likely it's going to serve you to delay a bit. And so we get through whatever is happening weather-wise or world economic news-wise at the exact moment you're coming on the market if the world's attention is entirely elsewhere. So timing is essential. You may have to consider what else is for sale, what's going on in your market, who you're going to be competing with. If you get wind of another listing that's coming on that's going to be competition for yours. You may want to try to beat it to the market. There's all sorts of things that are going to inform your timing and the decision you make with your listing agent as to when to list for sale. And then number 5 on my list is the framework for your listing. When you come on the market, will there be an offer deadline? How are you going to handle the requests for home inspections when they're made? And how is that going to be accommodated? And then looking into the future, look, in a perfect world, you're new to the market, you generate multiple offers, you accept one, and you're done early. But you do want to cast your gaze with your listing agent into the future and think about what you're going to do if it's still for sale after a period of time. Is it going to be the case that as you sort of sit there together and sort of map out what the future may look like, that you've decided if it hasn't sold within 30 or 45 days that you're going to adjust the price? You don't necessarily need to go that far into your market history, but you want to be thoughtful at the beginning, at least, to cast your gaze into the future a bit so that if in fact your market history extends and you're going to be adjusting the price, you've given some thought to what that might look like and when that may play out. Look, it's all situational and you're going to make informed decisions along the way in real time based on feedback you're getting from when you list if it stays on the market. But it's worthwhile to have some sort of framework, right? To be thoughtful about whether you're going to have an offer deadline, and if so, when offers are going to be due, just so that there's some clarity at the point you list. It may be you decide you're going to make that decision after the first weekend it's exposed to the market. But again, to just have some sort of framework for the listing, to know when it's going to be listed, for what price, if there will be an offer deadline, how home inspection visits will be accommodated, what the showing instructions will be, what you're going to do confidentially, of course. You're discussing this with your listing agent if you're still for sale after a period of time, right? What's your preferred closing date? There's all sorts of things that you can think through with your listing agent to create a framework for the listing. So when it's on the open market, people understand basically how the process is going to play out. And if there's preferences you have for a closing date or whatever it may be that suits your specific needs, then that's parcel of the framework presented. Okay, that's a lot, but to take it back from the top, the first and most important decision is your choice of an agent. Get that right and everything else follows, from home prep, pricing, timing, and offer framework. My name is Charles Cherney. I am a top agent in Cambridge and Somerville. Myself and my business partner, Maggie D, offer assistance and guidance to sellers aiming to sell for the best price. Reach out by text, telephone, or email if we can be your listing agents and guides on your successful journey to selling your home. Be in touch. Take care.